What's good, fight fans? It's your boy D Scott, Hardcore Casual MMA. We're back again, where I break fights down like an analyst, but sometimes I also break fights down like a casual who's only watched 3 fights. Sometimes. But, anyways, for the most part, I do my thing. Um, but today we're gonna get into UFC Fight Night, Mexico City. Arriba, arriba. Brandon the Baby Assassin Moreno versus Lone'er Kavanagh. On this card, I'm just gonna do the 3 big fights that are on this card. If you want, you definitely can watch the Edgar Chavez fight. Him and Joshua Van had a hell of a brawl. That's a instant classic. You can go back in the files and watch that. And if you want to watch Sean O'Malley's old punching bag, Chris Moutinho, he's somewhere on the prelims. But we're gonna break down Chito Vera versus David Martinez, Bobby Green versus Daniel Zellhuber, and of course the main event, Brandon the Baby Assassin Moreno versus Lone'er Kavanagh. Let's get into it. First, we're gonna start off with Zellhuber versus Bobby King Green, or just King Green as he has had his name changed. Bobby King Green is like the hood version of Sean Strickland. Probably a little less political, but they both have no filter. King Green says whatever comes to his mind, and he's ready to brawl in or outside of the cage at any given time. Um, I know he called out Dean the Great, and I still hadn't seen if Dean the Great wanted those hands. If he wanted that business. But anyways, King Green versus Daniel Zellhuber. Zellhuber coming off a loss to Michael Johnson, the longtime vet. Um, Michael Johnson was a big underdog on that card. I think Zellhuber was like a -500 favorite, and Michael Johnson pulled out the dub, which I don't know why Michael Johnson would be that big of an underdog. I started to put some money on that bitch. You feel me? I should have, but neither here or there. But Daniel Zellhuber fighting at he's actually in the same gym as Sean Strickland, Coach Eric Nixick, MMA Couture. Um so who was a long rangy fighter, good boxing, good movement, kind of light, a little light on his feet. He likes to throw combinations, 1-2s, 1-3-2s, all kinds of combination hooks, uppercuts. And his length is going to be a big strength for him versus Bobby Green. As we know, Bobby Green, longtime fan favorite, OG vet in the game. He likes to fight with his hands down. He has that slick boxing style. Um, likes to tease people, putting his head out there to get him to throw at him, so he can find his counters and go at guys. But he does struggle sometimes to close the distance against more patient and rangier fighters. So we're gonna see in this one, and see how his chin's gonna hold up, because I think Zellhuber definitely will catch Bobby Green at times. He is a decent striker, but Bobby Green could be too elusive for him. Sometimes it's crazy how some people just struggle against Bobby Green in the stand up, and some people make it look like a piece of cake. But um I think in this one, love Bobby Green, but I think I'm gonna have to take Zellhuber in this one. Um, will he get the finish? I say he probably will get the finish just because of how Bobby Green likes to fight. He likes to bring the fight, stay in your face, and Zellhuber may find the finish, but Because we know anything could happen. Bobby Green could go out there and just school Zellhuber, as we've seen many times before. Next up, we got Marlon Chito Vera versus David Martinez. Chito Vera, I mean, boy, he had a lot of motion back in 2022 and 2023 where he slimed out Frankie Edgar and Dominique Cruz with those head kick knockouts. And you know, they had that funny meme of Frankie Edgar and how his face was when he got hit with that kick. Lives rent free in my head. Crazy, sad, so sad to see some of the greats go out the way they do at times, but it's a part of the sport. That's why we love it, right? Right. Okay, well, uh, Chito Vera, yeah, he was on a hell of a run, had a lot of motion, people were fucking with him, and then he's just went on a drought. Davidson Figueiredo beat him in his initial fight when he came up to bantamweight, and his motion has since slowed down. People have started, learning how to strategize and fight against Chito Vera, and he has a problem just picking up the pace and trying to throw more in his fights, and having more output. So when he doesn't find that big shot, sometimes he struggles because fighters get out on him, and he's great. He's long and a little rangy himself. Has great boxing. Does struggle with the head movement because he has such an iron chin. Took that flying knee from Sean O'Malley, and Lord knows I don't know how he was still standing after that. But he was still there. Sean O'Malley could not get him out, even though he could connect with anything he wanted. Um, but Cheeto's very chin is flawless so far. Has great teeth, great calf kicks. He doesn't utilize as much as he should. Um, Loves the pressure you, big pressure. He loves to get into a fight and walk people down. Sometimes he doesn't do a good job of cutting the cage off, just following people sometimes, and that hurts him in fights, especially against, fighters who like to move and, have the footwork or like to get on that bike. David Martinez hasn't been in UFC long. Crazy. The guy is an orthopedic surgeon. How paradoxical is that an orthopedic surgeon that's a MMA fighter in the UFC? Crazy work. Give it up for the Mexicans for sure. Crazy work. But David Martinez, good fighter. Been came in on a short notice fight, put out one of the one of the top contenders or top ranked fighters. I wouldn't say he's at the top, but was a ranked fighter nonetheless. Rob Font, another fan favorite and mainstay in the bantamweight division, came up short notice, replacing Rosas Jr. and stole the win over Rob Font. Even though, in my opinion, I felt like Font won the fight. It was very close, could have gone either way. I felt like Font won, but they gave it to David Martinez. I believe they were in Mexico, so he probably got the hometown edge, So Chito Vera's gonna have to come out here and really win because we know how it is when you're in fighters' backyards, those close fights tend to not go your way. Surprised they don't have Alexa Grasso on this card as well. That would be good. She hasn't fought in a while. But anyway, Dave Martinez very fast, strong, has decent power. Sometimes he can be kick heavy. Has a few head kick TKOs in his amateur fights. I haven't seen enough of him to really get a full scope of the fighter he is and the capabilities he has. But if he fights a good fight, he very well could beat Chito Vera if he can avoid getting knocked out and able to, find his shots and stick and move. But on this fight, I'm just gonna go with Chito, and I'm gonna be honest. I just want him to get a win. I want to see a big finish from him, and I'm hoping for that. So I'm gonna go with Chito Vera on this one. Let's go to the main event of the evening. Brandon the Baby Assassin Moreno, one of my favorite fighters, versus Lone'er Kavanagh, which this is also a fight that was put together uh short notice. Alma Almabayev, I forget his first name, but Almabayev got hurt. Supposed to be Moreno versus Almabayev, and that fell apart. Lonnie Kavanagh, uh I feel like Lonnie Kavanagh and well, I feel like Lonnie Kavanagh and David Martinez would have been uh but they're not even the same weight division. Never mind. But Lonnie Kavanagh, rookie, hasn't been in the UFC long, came out of Dana White's Contender series. I think he's 1-1 in the UFC, and unfortunately, he had a lot of hype on him, a lot of motion. People are still kind of high on him, but Charles the Energy Johnson, the same guy that knocked out the current flyweight champion Joshua Van before he went on his run, um, TKO Lone'er Kavanagh and kind of put a halt and flatline his motion in the UFC. But he's working his way back in, and trying to move back up and become a legitimate contender. But this is a tough one, a tall task for Lonnie Kavanagh to beat Brandon Moreno. Moreno just has so much experience, very well rounded. Moreno has great boxing, good wrestling. He can be offensively wrestle as well when he needs to, when things are going his way on the feet. And he's a good defensive wrestler too. Although Moreno, even though it's the flyweight division, he is kind of, small, but he's wiry and scrappy with that Mexican spirit in him. You know, beautiful story. Got cut from the UFC, came back, got the flyweight title. That trilogy with him and Davidson Figueiredo is probably my favorite trilogy in the UFC. If you haven't seen it, you're a casual. Go back and see all three of those fights between Davidson Figueiredo and Brandon Moreno. But just a great fighter. Sort of chinny. Brandon Moreno gets a little chinny at times. He hasn't been taken out yet. Came off the unfortunate loss to Tatsu Taira, and Tatsu Taira got his back, got him in an unadvantageous position. One of the few ways which we all knew Tatsu Taira was gonna win through his wrestling. And Brandon Moreno, they got into a sticky situation. I think he slipped or got tossed or thrown, tripped by Tatsutara, ended up on his back, and that was that. But the ref didn't really let him go out on the shield, and he didn't take a whole lot of damage in the end of the fight. But anyways, Brandon Moreno just a well-rounded, scrappy vet, and Lone'er Kavanagh, haven't seen a whole lot from him to really get a grasp of his full game. He is fast. He does have some knockout power and good boxing. Uses a kick, but he does leave his chin out there at times. Needs to work on that defense and his head. And I just think Moreno's just gonna piece him up on the feet, and his only chance of winning is to find that TKO shot. I don't think he's that strong of a grappler, or that strong to overpower Brandon Moreno like that, and keep him, down. Even Pantoja had a hard time with that in that fight, and Moreno always gets up. So I really don't see his path to victory being the wrestling. So I'm gonna I'm gonna go with Brandon Moreno to get this one done. I say a third round submission. Third round submission, but I feel like it will be a finish. I don't think this fight will go all 5 rounds, but that's what I got for UFC Fight Night, Mexico City in the building. Guys, comment, let me know what you think about these fights, who's gonna win, what the outcomes will be. Like, share, definitely hit that subscribe button. D Scott, Hardcore Casual MMA. I'm gone. Peace.